Welcome to today's webinar for Naviate Daylight for Revit. Thank you everyone for joining. Together with me today, I have Matthijs Lotterhoman, who's gonna walk us through the application. You also should note down the email addresses and so on if anything pops up after the webinar, so you can ask the questions. It's very important to note that on the right-hand side you have the question panel, so you will be able to raise questions during the presentation, and we try as much as possible to answer them when we're going through the presentation and do also summarizing afterwards. Today we will walk through the following part is to show how you can set up the Naviate Daylight part. We also going to show you how we perform the analysis according to local rules and standards, and that goes for Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. And of course, how you should present the results in the model and how you can document every findings and export it out. It's also very important to know that this is a beta pre-release presentation, so things can change in the product that you're seeing when it's going to be released later this year. So Matthijs, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to hand over the screen to you now, so you can walk us through the application.
Thank you, Jan Tore, for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this presentation. My name is Matthijs, and I will show you some PowerPoint and a live demo. So the first question, why do we launch Naviate Daylight as a part of the Naviate series? New requirements for BIM. We see an increasing need for analyzing. We don't want to do the paperwork and paper forms anymore. The local rules allows us to use the BIM model, so why not? And we can well see that this will be the end of the thumb rule, 2%. So work smarter, export and calculate manually, or work directly in your design tool. Naviate Daylight enables no export or import of the model. Always work in the updated model. Easily modify the model and recheck the data. And all within Revit, your design tool. So which standards we support? At first we have the Scandinavian standards for Norway, TEC 17, the simplified one, the older standard, TEC 10, and the Swedish standards, BBR, and the SS 914201, simplified version, and the Danish BR 18 rule. What do we analyze? The analysis includes shadows from wall thicknesses, surrounding buildings, overhang, protrusions, walls that stick out of the facade, fixed sun shields. And this is just some examples of parts of the rules that are included in the analyze. So according to these specific rules for Norway, Denmark, Norway, we include all that's described in the specifications for the rules. And as for now, it's documented at Synapse, our partner who's programming the application. And give you another example on light transmission. So that also is a part of all the rules. So it includes a part of the formula. And this is an example for double glazing. You see the transmission for double glazing has a value of 82. So where do you set that in Naviate Daylight? So in settings for Naviate Daylight, you can choose to include transparency, and then you can use either family type properties. Under analytical properties, you can, for instance, set double glazing domestic, and you get a transmittance value of 81 for that double glazing. Or you can use the Revit material setting transparency. So go through your glass materials and adjust it to the right value to include that in the analyze. So this is what that look like. This is the UI and a nice 3D visualization on the right side, where you see the requirements met and not met. On the top left, you see the requirements met, and the rooms are 42 of 50 are met, and window to wall ratio, minimum, maximum. Of course, this can be included also as a part of Revit, so you can generate Revit plans and document it, take it with you in the meeting, and discuss what to do about these rooms that are missing some of the glass area. We make the windows bigger, we move the windows up or down, or making the room smaller, or whatever. You can include documentation of each window or curtain wall. Gives all the values that are taken in consideration for your specific standard rule, and shows the area of glass that is taken into the calculations as well. We can export all data for further analysis or other type of analysis. And we can make a report of the end result, including a part that explains which rules and formulas are used to come to this conclusion. So now I will show a live demo of the product and go down to Revit. And there we got this nice button from Synapse. And a special thanks to Geert van Gorp from Synapse that has done an amazing job on looking into all these standards for Scandinavia and implemented it in the software. So I just press the button. The first thing I got up is the settings, where I can set the language to English and get the calculation standards here: Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, Dutch, none. What's area to calculate? Rooms, areas. The names of the glazing materials needs to be listed up here so the application knows what is glass and what not. names of balconies, the balcony names, the rooms. So that's also one of the requirements to get this tool working correctly. You have to generate rooms on the balconies. And the last one here for including transparency, that actually all the standards have as a part of the calculation. And as mentioned, you can choose the family type parameter or the material shading transparency setting for materials. Yeah, select the calculation standards and press OK to start the calculation. I just put it back to Norwegian here to get the correct rule. You see that in the bottom here. You see that text 17 is for the Norwegian. And it starts calculating. So we can tell a little bit about the UI. We see on the left side we have 3 tabs here. The glass to floor ratio, the glass to wall ratio, and window schedule. So when the calculation is done, we see the requirements met and not met. So 130 of 150 rooms are met, 87%. And we see the rooms that are not met the requirements. So this living room has actually a little bit too small calculated daylight percentage ratio. And here you see then the glass so wall ratios and the percentage and the orientation of the walls, of the windows. So 0 or 90 degrees from north or 270. So it's the Windows list. It shows all the parameters that are taken in consideration for that standard that is chosen. So for the Norwegian standard, we get these columns, and you can add and remove some columns here if you want that. And we can also show only the north facade or the east facade, and only show those windows. So when in floor to window to floor ratio tab, we can see which rooms are meeting and not meeting. We can exclude rooms manually here from the calculation, or we can autofill all room names with a certain value and include that or exclude that with 0. So control rooms don't need any daylight, so there you can set 0 and let the autofill do the calculation automatically. So this is the visualization part. It starts the 3D viewer on the right side, and that we can make a little bit bigger if we like to see some more of it. And this one can be filtered to show either the met requirements for the window to floor ratio. And we have the window to floor ratio actual daylight. We can also turn off the windows just to see the floors. Turn off all floors, just put in for 1. A lot of possibilities just to show what or not. And if we want to have this as a a sort of printable documentation for meetings, we can generate Revit plan views just by clicking this button here in the bottom. And it generates some plan views showing the actual daylight ratio and the requirements, met and not met. And from here you can start to calculate and show just the values for this specific room. So I can see, okay, here's the requirements are not met, and what can I do about it? Just look closer to only this room and just pre-select it and start the Naviate daylight. That should be much quicker then as well, and can visualize it as well and can see the windows and the floor. And here I can see that there's a mismatch, and this window should be higher up. So if you take a closer look at this window, it's a quite wide window, and try to find that in the window schedule here. We can do a right click here and generate a elevation view. So say save and close. You can see that just only the half of this window is taken in consideration. So when we move this window up, we probably get a better result on this room. And then we can select all these. So we will then meet all the same here. Move it up to 900 and select the room and do a new calculation. So in this way I can go and check, okay, now I meet a 10% by 1.3 more. I can go and visualize this. Yeah, everything is green. And I can actually go to the window schedule and do the elevation view again. So when starting this elevation view one more time, save and close, it updates as it should to show the correct positioning and what part of the window is taken, what part of the glass in the window is taken is included in the calculation. Same counts for the curtain walls. It's also taking all the glass areas above 80 centimeters from floor and shows all the values for that. Back to the plan view, there was one more room here. Can do the same thing here. Just select that room, start calculating on only that room. See, there is a little difference. We have 8.2% here. We need 10%, so we can do several things. We can make the room smaller. We can copy the window, or we can just make the window a little bit bigger and try to see if this is helping and meeting the requirements. So selecting the room again and just checking. And so I can go through all the rooms that are not meeting the requirements. So here I see I have a 10.3%. So now this is also good. And then I can do a new calculation of the whole building just by not selecting any room and just start the Naviate daylight analysis. It's going through the whole building and analyzing all rooms again. Of course, if you have a big project, this can take a little bit longer, and smaller projects will go faster. And see that I'm still missing some areas here. Can also select the specific room that is calculated. And not sure why we get a different result when calculating the whole building. But it can be something to do with the rooms above it and the balconies and things. So we can try to do one other thing and making the window even bigger and see if we will meet the requirements now. Doing one more analyze of the whole model. And now it looks like we have 100% met of requirements. So when then generating the plan views again, it should update the earlier generated plans, and we can see that the whole project is green, so all rooms are met, all the requirements are met, and we can do one last calculation just to write a report. Of course, we can go through all the plan views and check all levels that everything is correct, and do the export to Word here, a Word report. So just to show you how to export, for instance, this data to Excel, it's just right-clicking here and do a save to Excel. Then you get reports for the glass to floor area like this, and glass to wall area ratio, and the window schedule. And here we do the report. So finding my desktop report, save this one, yes, and getting a report for today's date. And this will then include explanation about the rules that are used and formulas, and total report of all rooms and all the requirements met. So save and closing the daylight application. One more thing, documentation, questions about what's included, what not, what do I need to do with my model to meet all the requirements to get this analyzing correct. Is for now in this pre-release from Synapse, done by Synapse and documented well in their help sites, and we're going to move that to our Naviate help sites when the final release is in place. And here you see the standards for LEED, the international standard, and the Dutch standard, the Danish BR standard, and the way all the Danish requirements are taken in consideration and included in the analyzing. The Swedish, everything translated into English and just taken from the local sites. Here you see also that the simplified method is used, the SS 914201, and is used in the Naviate data application. And for Norway, the same thing. We have point A, B, and C that are exactly the same as the one that you see in the Norwegian website for this rules, the A, B, and C. And for boenhet, that means dwelling units, apartment buildings, houses. We can use the B, and that's what Naviate Daylight is using. And for holiday homes, we can even do a more simplified method. So this are the requirements from an example of the Norwegian one. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and I will give the screen back to Jan Tore.
As I stated also earlier on, the webinar is recorded and will be available as soon as possible after this webinar has ended. You will receive an email notified when it's available online. So let me see. We have a web page called naviate.com where you can find more information about the Naviate Daylight. Also, there will be available a trial button for downloading the trial and test the application before release later on. It's also possible to, as you see, we have an event page for events and webinars. So I urge you to visit that page to follow up on upcoming webinars broadcasting from Symetri. And we also have a support and learning training page on the naviate.com site. As stated, the recording will be uploaded and made available for you on YouTube. You have a link in your email received by us. And I urge you also to visit our Facebook page, LinkedIn page as well, and keep updated on all information coming from Symetri. So Matthijs, thank you very much for your presentation. We will attend the question later after this webinar and answer you all about a lot of questions you have around the daylight analysis part. So thank you for your participation today, and stay tuned on our channels, and please attend our next webinar coming up. Thank you very much, Thijs.